All right, here we go. We're previewing the Open Championship, the final major of the year, or as I like to call it, the annual event where I light my fucking money on fire betting Tommy Fleetwood. Ian, I mean, help me, dude. Like, what am I doing? Every year I can't help myself.
Yeah, someone made the rule, and I forget who it was, and I always forget to kind of give them credit, but someone made the rule in the betting community this year that you're allowed one Tommy Fleetwood bet a year, which I think is a good rule, because everyone loves Tommy Fleetwood. It seems crazy that he'd not win this many times in a row. He's come close time after time, so one of these times you'd think he'd break through. So people love betting on him, but I think the rule of you're allowed one Fleetwood bet each year is a good rule. I have already used my annual Fleetwood bet, so I am not allowed to bet on him at the Open Championship. But Steve, if you have not bet on Fleetwood yet this year, you can use your one Tommy Fleetwood bet this week.
Ian, I've probably bet about 8 Fleetwood bets this year, and
So you have not followed that rule.
No, I haven't. But you know what? Now that I know it, I may have to implement it because it's going to help my bankroll. But it's like outrights or a top 20, you know what I mean, or top like Masters. I have to bet Tommy Fleetwood.
And you'll hear this, week of the Open Championship. The last time it was hosted at Royal Portrush, Shane Lowry won, and it was none other than Tommy Fleetwood in solo second place. So he obviously has history, not only at this event, but at this course specifically as well.
And if you don't know, Iain MacMillan, one of the best follows on Twitter at Iain MacBets. He's also lead senior writer for SI. Cool email at si.com. One of my favorite emails to type in to set something up with someone. Very nostalgic about that. Ninja's off this week. He's on a much-deserved vacation. I'm Steve MacLean. You're stuck with me. I saw this from Justin Ray Golf and I wanted to bring it up with you. Just some open stats heading into it with John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth. And I see these names, and man, Schauffele's been terrible this year, coming off one of the best years we've seen. Yeah. Jordan Spieth, I mean, I can't put money on Jordan Spieth and John Rahm. It's like, where's the value in betting John Rahm? But this is good information. Again, it's part of the puzzle when you're figuring your bets out. But, I mean, what do you do with this?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird because, not even just these three guys, but kind of all the top guys on the odds list all kind of have a weakness or something you can say against them. I mean, Jordan Spieth, people have been betting on Jordan Spieth at majors now for since the last time he won one, and he hasn't even really come close. So Xander Schauffele, yeah, he's had a bad year, but he's coming off the injury, so he kind of has an excuse, that rib injury that he had. Rory McIlroy has admitted that he hasn't been motivated since he won the Masters. We'll see if he's been motivated the past couple of weeks as he prepares to play an Open in his home country. John Rahm's been good, but not great. Consistently kind of top 20, top 10 guy, especially at LIV, but just hasn't even been able to get a win at LIV this year. So who knows where he's at. Bryson DeChambeau, for as good as he is, his irons haven't been dialed in all season. Shane Lowry seems to choke every single Sunday when he gets in contention. Tyrrell Hatton hasn't had his best stuff. Victor Hovland hasn't had his best stuff. So everyone on the top of the odds list, the big names, the recognizable names, the name brand guys outside of Scottie Scheffler, have some holes in their game. So it's going to be interesting, of all those top guys, which one, if any, can kind of overcome their weaknesses this week and kind of get themselves at least in contention on Sunday.
And that's one of the things I find with the Open. Like, I don't necessarily know how to cap the Open. I don't know what to look for because there's such a level of randomness to it, more so than any other PGA Tour event, especially with majors. I find myself just leaning towards Euros and grinders like a Tyrrell Hatton, and fading a Bryson DeChambeau who has to have everything so perfect.
Yeah, because it's a different style of golf. They're playing on links golf, and Royal Portrush is kind of a very, very typical link style golf course. So those Europeans, especially the guys from the UK, grew up playing link style golf courses, and it's a different style of golf. It needs a little bit more artistry. You can't just bomb and gouge it. It's why Europeans consistently win the Ryder Cup when it's hosted in Europe, because those style of courses, it's not fit for the American style of game, which is bomb and gouge. We've also seen typically putting play a lot bigger of a role at the Open Championship over the past number of years. Brian Harman, who is my greatest cash I've ever hit, was Brian Harman at 120-1 at the Open a couple of years ago because of his putting. Cam Smith won the Open, fantastic putter. So we do see putting play a little bit of a bigger role. And like I said, you don't necessarily need to be long off the tee. Some of these shorter hitters who can't compete at the US Open, can't compete at the PGA Championship, this is their time to shine. Once again, Brian Harman, not a long hitter, and he was able to run away with the Open a couple of years ago. Shane Lowry, who won at Royal Portrush a few years ago, very accurate driver of the golf ball, but he's not long off the tee. So yeah, this is a completely different style of golfer that we're looking for, a different profile we're looking for, and some of these European grinders who know how to play link-style golf courses and know how to play in tough conditions and rain and wind. I'm going to keep referencing it, but the final round at the Open when it was last hosted at Portrush was extremely tough conditions, rainy and windy. And we saw specifically in that final round, it was the European guys who kind of took a step forward. So, yeah, this is the PGA Championship and US Open can typically be handicapped in a very similar way. The Open Championship is its own beast.
I did see that Lee Westwood's in the field at 50,000 plus 50,000 to win.
Listen, Lee Westwood did T4 last time at Royal Portrush. I know. And it was 6 years ago, and a much younger Lee Westwood.
Could this not be a little Darren Clark-esque, though, if he goes on a miracle run?
Yeah,
I'm talking myself into it again. This is my problem, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if there's ever going to be an old guy come and win a major out of nowhere, it's probably going to be the Open.
Yeah, and we had the odds board up earlier, and for golf more than any other sport, line shop, look around at different books. It is the most drastic sport there is. For your best choice in sports books and to get the best value for your money, head to oddshark.com. We have a bunch of books there, some sign-up bonuses, and follow Ian as well on Twitter, at Iain MacBets. Ian, you do a great job pointing out to people, go to this book, go to that book to get the best lines for it. And, as a golf player, that's appreciated, man.
Yep, especially on long shots, extremely important. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, and just an example of it, go to FanDuel, go to DraftKings, look at the different odds just for this tournament alone for outrights. It's wild. At the time of recording, we don't have top 20s posted yet or top 10s, but they'll come along as we go. A little bit of news. Collin Morikawa got a new caddy. Billy Foster, he's a major championship. He won with Matthew Fitzpatrick at the U.S. Open. Is Collin Morikawa like the ultimate weekend hacker where he's in his head so bad that it's everybody else's fault but his now?
Yeah, Collin Morikawa is a little bit of an interesting case because ever since that blow up at, I think it was the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and he didn't interview with the media afterwards, and then members of the media got after him for that, and then he came out and basically stood his ground and said, I don't owe you guys anything. It kind of does seem like his mental side of the game has completely fallen apart, and he has been known behind the scenes from, and then this is not the first year this has happened. This is ever since he came on the scene. He's an arrogant guy. He wants things done his way. He thinks other people should feel the exact same way. I mean, even look back at the first season of Full Swing. If anyone watched that Netflix show, there is a scene of him like choosing his outfits with, I forget what brand it was, Puma or Adidas or someone. And he's just kind of a dick, to be completely honest. Which is going to be tough to find a caddy that wants to work with you in that capacity if you're kind of hard to work with. Now, this guy is interesting, Billy Foster, because he is also a guy who will speak his mind, a little bit of an asshole. So maybe this is going to end in one of two ways. This is either going to end in disaster and they're going to break up immediately after the Open and he'll be on the market for another caddy. Or maybe this is exactly what Collin Morikawa needs. He needs someone to kind of tell him how it is and kick his ass a little bit and be a little bit of a dick back to him. Maybe that's exactly what he needs, and maybe that results in Morikawa winning his second Open championship. One of the more fascinating storylines heading into the Open for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fascinating storylines going in here. Like we show the odds board with the leaders on there, and it's like just looking at that, there's nobody I really want to play.
Yeah.
Right? So it's getting into like the 15s and the 20s, and one guy I will say, I know you have the Tommy Fleetwood one bet a year rule. I have a no bet rule with Justin Thomas for 3 years, for the life of me, whether it was outrights, T20s, DFS, whatever. Anytime I bet on the guy, absolute shit job. Anytime I didn't, top 10, playoffs, whatever. Like, it was wild. So I have that rule for him.
Justin Thomas is interesting because he's won 2 majors. So he avoids getting the shit maybe he kind of deserves. Because he has those 2 majors. But if you look at like his overall major history, especially lately, it's actually been crap. Yeah. Missed the cut this year, both the PGA and the US Open, T36 and the Masters. Missed the cut of the US Open last year. Missed the cut of the US Open the year before. Missed the cut at the 2023 Open. Like, he is, for a guy who's like one of the best golfers in the world, he has missed a ton. Since his last win at a major, the 22 PGA Championship, he's missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 cuts at major championships. And he hasn't finished he only finished inside the top 30 once in that stretch. Like, he doesn't get the shit he deserves because he has those 2 PGA championships. He's a guy I'm not touching at majors.
Ian, hit me with some bets. What do you got? What do you like? Where are you standing on this one?
So of the top golfers, I'll give you my kind of the top name guy, and then some long shots. And actually, let me say this first. we are recording this, as I said earlier, before the weather report is out for the Open Championship.
And before the Scottish Open as well. Just so we're clear to everyone out there as well, because that influenced a lot of people's money.
We are recording this the week of the Scottish Open, so anything could happen Scottish Open week that might change some things. But for weather for the Open Championship, if the weather is calm, if you look at the forecast and it doesn't look like the weather is going to be a factor whatsoever, this is a wide open event, and probably Scottie Scheffler is going to win. And then you can bet on Americans, you can bet on your classic golfers, guys who, even if they don't have experience playing links golf courses, if there's no weather, it's not going to affect things. If the weather looks like it's going to be windy, it's going to be classic Open Championship weather. That is Royal Portrush's biggest defense, and that is when you're going to want to target the Europeans, the guys with links golf course experiences, the grinders, as you mentioned earlier, Steve, the long shots. So I'll give you some picks based on the idea that the weather is going to be bad, because most likely it is going to at least have an effect on one of the days. And of those names at the top of the list that you're looking at right now, there's one name that I see, and there's one name that you're probably going to hear quite a bit next week, and that is Robert MacIntyre, who I brought up the last Open Championship at Royal Portrush. That was Robert MacIntyre's coming out party. He finished T6 that event. Not only did he finish T6, but he had the round of the day on the worst condition day, which was the Sunday. Shane Lowry shot even par to win, still by 6 strokes. Like almost the entire field shot over 70. Robert MacIntyre shot a 68 on that day at 22 years old. Now he has the winning experience. He's won the Scottish Open. He's won the Canadian Open. He's just coming off a runner-up finish at the U.S. Open at a course that wasn't really a great course fit for him. Now he heads to a course he's done a lot of good stuff at, in great form, and a guy who knows how to play in conditions. He's Scottish. Obviously, this is the type of golf that he played growing up. He played links style golf courses as a Scottish style of golf. So Robert MacIntyre is going to be my top bet of the top of the guys on the list. A couple underdogs I'm looking at, some English guys, Jordan Smith, who I like at the Scottish Open. If he has a decent Scottish Open, I think he's going to be an interesting look. He's had an underrated season over in Europe on the DP World Tour, runner-up at the BMW International Open last week. Matt Wallace as well is an English guy at 110-1 that I think is going to be interesting at the Open Championship. Obviously, an English guy knows how to play link-style golf courses, and he's had some solid finishes at majors this year. T17 at the PGA, T23 at the US Open, both courses that don't fit his style of play because he's not long off the tee, but he's an accurate golfer. So Matt Wallace, Jordan Smith, a couple long shots for this week. But of the top guys on the list, Robert MacIntyre is, to me, the one that checks all the boxes.
Nice. There's one American I'm looking at, regardless of the weather conditions, because he said he's played in 3 Open Championships, 2 top 10s, a top 30. I think it was 31 last year. It's Cameron Young. He finds a way to kind of get it. I know, dude. I know. I'm not
Cameron Young and Tommy Fleetwood. Sure. You'll bet on 2 guys who finished T2.
Yeah, I know. But I'm looking at like top 20 for Cam. We'll see what those odds are when he come out. I mean, to win, he's plus 7,000 at DraftKings. So, I mean, sure. I know I'll light my money on fire, Ian, and I'm going to bet Tommy Fleetwood again, and I'm probably going to sprinkle on Lee Westwood because I'm an absolute donkey.
Listen, they'll probably be in contention on the weekend. They'll give you a sweat, but then they will lose.
I know, and that's sort of how everything goes. Ian, appreciate your time, buddy. Best of luck.
Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate it. Take care, and best of luck with you as well.